I ain't gonna lie. When I saw Jamaica, I said, "Oh my God, I can't take it." I generally afraid of Jamaica. If I be honest, when it comes to let's pong for pong talent, Jamaica have it. However, I still.
All right, so welcome back, people, to MG Sports TV. This is technically somewhat a preview to the World Cup qualifiers coming up. So with us we have Shamari Elliot, Skulli loves football. The Trinidadians would know him by that name. We'll be bringing him a bit soon. But before we jump into that, as I said, this is a little bit of preview on a different perspective from one of the opponents, a fan from one of the opponents that will be faced in the World Cup qualifiers. So we're going to just jump straight into that and bring in Skulli. What's going on, bro?
Oregon. Yeah, man, I'm good, man. Privileged to be here. Despite being a Trinidad and Tobago fan, I have been a Jamaica fan for a while now. Fun fact: one of my favorite footballers them back in the day was Ricardo Fuller. I really liked
Huh?
him at Stoke. So yeah, but um, in terms of me back in Jamaica now, is a kind of a double-edged sword because in reality we're in the same group, but we'll get to that.
All right, all right. So Skulli, first of all, we're gonna start off with you. You're our guest. We want to know about you first. How did you get into football? And as I said, Ricardo Fuller was one of your favorite. And how long have you been covering your national team?
Well, firstly, the first game I ever watched, the first football game I ever watched in my life, that was the 2004 Euros final between Portugal and Greece. So within that, always had a fandom for the Greek national team, and with that now having a Trinidadian who was playing in the Greek league, that was Levi Garcia. I end up venturing into supporting a Greek team that is like Athens. And from that now, I grew the platform and we had Trinidadians who was there seeing me back in Levi. I am very patriotic for both my nationalities, that is Trinidad and Tobago and St. Lucia. I am half Lucian from my mother's side. And from that, I skyrocketed somewhat. You know, in Greece, are pretty known. And because of my platform, I saw it as an opportunity to try to bring back the hype into Trinidad and Tobago football because it has been dying. It has been going in a downward spiral. Um, Within the past games, well, the past game in particular, the past home game against St. Kitts, I was so proud to see 20,000 people in the stadium. It was just like something that we never saw before. And I could only, not only give props to me, but the other Trinidad and Tobagonian football content creators as well to bringing back the hype into Trinidad and Tobago football, which has been criticized a lot. But I digress.
All right, that's really interesting to hear. So we're gonna move away from that now. So persons, can you tell the person, the supporters from the Jamaica community, where can they find you?
Um, to be honest, a lot of Jamaicans know me already, but you can find me on Skulli Loves Football on all platforms. Skulli with an I at the end loves football on TikTok. I'm mainly on YouTube now. YouTube, Instagram, X, yeah, everywhere.
All right, all right. So let's get into the football, people. Let's get into the football. Skulli, I'm going to get onto the
Mm.
Reggae Boys, but can you tell us about the Soca Warriors? What went wrong for them in the Gold Cup? We're going to start off with the Gold Cup discussion.
Well, firstly, um, there was like a pretty much like a month camp. The players them not really accustomed to playing all that football because we went straight from the Unity Cup, then had a couple World Cup qualifiers, then the Gold Cup, and I would guess probably fatigue was starting to take them because they were pretty much the same players them playing every single time. Daniel Phillips in the midfield, Kevin Molino. We introduced Levi Garcia later down in the World Cup qualifier and um the Gold Cup. But I can see that went wrong with the Gold Cup in particular. the defense needs so much work. And this period there that we had with the Unity Cup straight into the Gold Cup, it was meant to be a dress rehearsal for the new coach Dwight York. Again, Trinidad and Tobago is a rebuilding team. We just I wouldn't say sack, but we departed ways with Mr. Angus Eve, who is also a legend at the Trinidad and Tobago football space. Um, from that now, we get Dwight York now, and he implements a totally different type of football. He want to prioritize on having the ball a lot and being more direct and introducing even more players. And what happened in the Gold Cup, the defense pretty much let we down. The first game in particular with USA, that was just a calamitous situation. Everything was just going wrong. We just couldn't say the Americans were just faster, stronger, more systematic, more tactical. Everything was just, we were men against boys in reality. But we saw fast improvement with the upcoming games. The Haiti game as well too should have been over the line, having the um the the handicap with the red card. We didn't capitalize on that. And then we had the Saudi Arabia game, which I was pretty much proud of the team. I saw fast improvement because coming back to the same USA game, the defensive errors was very much highlighted by someone who I regard as a very good person. That is Mr. Alvin Jones. He was having a nightmare. And then we saw even Justin Garcia, who I was very critical about in the Unity Cup against the same Jamaica, when Cephas run past him and get the penalty in the last minute. I was very critical of Mr. Justin Garcia, but he stepped up his game for the Saudi Arabia game and even elevated Alvin Jones' game. So they actually had a really good game in the back and probably should have won the Saudi Arabia game. He actually had the last chance of the game. So that we the centre back had to get the last chance of the game, the breakaway. Probably if it was his namesake, Levi Garcia, he would have probably put it away and would have get through to the next round. But all in all, again, the team is improving, but there's a deadline. And hopefully they meet the deadline because the opposition that we are about to face is just something else.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Fair enough, and that's totally understandable based off the nature and how things proceed for you guys. For us, boy, one of the worst Gold Cup for Jamaica in years, in I think 16 years. Didn't advance into the next round, and we lost the opening game to Guatemala 1-0. We kind of come back versus Guadeloupe, win that game 2-1, but we struggled as well. And then now we lost to Panama, was a thrashing. That was definitely a boys versus men. Big men in football and little boys trying a thing. And they really rolled us and whipped us hard. And it was deserved because we didn't play any football. We didn't put in effort. We didn't put in energy in the game. And because of that, a lot of the supporters now move and turn into the coaches' perspective. We will have a discussion surrounding both coaches, but we're going to leave that down a little further. We're going to go move into the qualifiers now that we have coming up this September. The opening games will kickstart. When you were joining the Jamaica group, especially this group, what were your thoughts about this group?
I ain't gonna lie. When I saw Jamaica, I said, "Oh my God, I can't take it." I generally afraid of Jamaica. If I be honest, when it comes to let's pound for pound talent, Jamaica have it. However, I still think that the Jamaica national team they haven't found the identity as yet. And with the introduction of even more players, we even saw that Mason Greenwood is pretty much almost at here we go according to Fabrizio Romano. They still have a lot of moving pieces and things to shape up and all kind of stuff. I think Jamaica not playing as fluid as they need to be playing with the personnel that they have. I think Jamaica have total talent. I think Jamaica in terms of talent probably like the third best team in CONCACAF in terms of this pound for pound talent. I like this brother Richard King. He's somewhat I think he's next up, but I think he has potential to be something really good. But apart from that, when I saw Curacao, I was like, oh my Curacao once again, because the Curacao that we played a couple games then before is not the Curacao that we played them days there. They have a bunch of Dutch players now, and the football has improved vastly. They even drew with Canada in the World Cup. That is just a message to the other teams and within this group here that they should not be taken lightly. But I think if it was the prior Curacao, even despite losing against the well, we played them in Curacao and we lost 5-3. And I'll get to that, the reason why, one of the reasons why we lose to that. But and then we have Bermuda. Bermuda is, don't know much about them. But I'm going back to the same point what I talk about with the Curacao thing now. From talking with a lot of the players, I actually interview some of the players, and they always say that artificial ground does give them a tough time. And both Curacao and Bermuda have artificial grounds. Now, I don't know how Jamaicans would react to that, but from what I'm hearing, from what the football is saying, it's real difficult to play on. And these games in particular, the Curacao and the Bermuda, of course, the football heritage, well, at least the Caribbean football heritage is within Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. But these teams are going to be tricky. It is the easiest group, the easiest route we can take, but it will be tricky.
Yeah, totally agree. For me, when I saw the group, I was a bit happy to be joining the group. I said, all right, Trinidad, all right, we have a little thing versus Trinidad, but we always get the hedge over Trinidad despite what that little thing going. The Unity Cup was a perfect example of just having that small edge over Trinidad. And then now I saw Curacao, I'm like, all right, this is a team that I'm a bit fearful of them, because when after I saw them thrash Haiti, I'm like, no, sir, that's crazy. That is crazy. Then Bermuda, we'd have already played Bermuda, and expectation for Bermuda, I understand their team and I know what to expect from them. I do think though, going to that group, the Reggae Boyz will be favorites to come out of the group. But there's big concern. There's huge concern in the support base in regards to the performance that we saw in the Gold Cup. Now, as a Trinidad supporter, when you saw Jamaica with that unimpressive performance in the Gold Cup, does that give you a little bit of light to say we can get something over them for the World Cup qualifiers?
In reality, nah, it just was like, okay, they're kind of faltering, but what people gonna know in reality, when it comes to play against Jamaica in particular, you gonna have to have some element of luck. Football is a funny game. Football, the ball is wrong. Yeah, the game is played on. And bringing back to the same rivalry talk, we pretty much have like the Liverpool versus Everton Merseyside derby kind of effect where Liverpool is up there, but Everton just always have that drive against them that they could always put out a good performance against that team there, despite the total difference in capabilities. So when I saw that, we wouldn't get carried away with that, because at any time Jamaica could just turn it on against us. It all depends on us to come out and actually give a unified performance. If it is everybody firing on all cylinders and Jamaica have a bad game now, then we could capitalize. But as I said before, it had to have some elemental luck to defeat Jamaica, because pound for pound, you guys just way more talented, because you guys playing proper European football. We only have like one player who out in say like three that in the highest stage of the European level. Like I think Daniel Phillips plays in Scotland, Andrew Raymond plays in Scotland, and Levi Garcia who plays in Russia. So we don't really have that kind of exposure to top class football. So again, you have to just come on a element of luck, catching Jamaica on a body and coming out firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I thought that the performance that you guys gave in the Unity Cup was one to remember. It was very, very close, and that in itself, I like to make sure that sometimes the talent can be here, but the effort and work rate can sometimes match that equally. So for me, I don't look at that team and said, even though sometimes we as Jamaican supporters we're a little bit arrogant in regards to, because we look on the team, or we look on we sheet, and we see the names on the sheet, and we say, oh no man, we start looking at the team, so we're supposed to beat that team based off the names on paper. Then now, when we sit and use our two eyes and watch our team, we're like, oh crap, we are in trouble. This is some serious trouble. But so we can't take no team lightly at this present moment. For me, I'm super scared of Curacao, if I'm being honest. And I don't know what to expect from them. Yeah, in regards to Trinidad, which player should the Jamaica team look out for? And to say, you know what, this player is going to cause some problem. Now, which player in the Jamaica team that the Trinidad player supporter you think is going to cause problem? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll highlight maybe 3 players from the Trinidad and Tobago team. One you guys should be familiar with, that is Nathaniel James. I think he was playing in Jamaica for a while. Very, direct, very pacey, technically gifted. He could play the football, and he always, if you give him a half chance, he could give you something. Also, there's this guy there now, Terry Spicer. Very direct, nice winger. He actually is a breath of fresh air to look at. Like, within this new modern day football, we haven't been seeing wingers like to face up to the wing back and say, all right, I'm going to take you on. We haven't been seeing that in a while, and Terry Spicer actually gives that option. And of course, and ironically, this guy, he moved to Spartak Moscow to replace the same Jamaican, which is Shamari Nicholson, or better known as Bowser, that is Levi Garcia. I even have his shirt here right now. Like, this guy is a player.
Representing,
Yeah. That guy is my player. And I tell you, Levi Garcia on his day is one of the best attackers in Europe. Very versatile. When we talk about could run in behind, could beat a man, could hold up the ball. He big, strong. He have the ability to play wing as well too. Just a versatile player. At any point, you just had to look out for him. As we saw in the Costa Rica game, where he even got a goal against Costa Rica, scoring against the legend himself, Keylor Navas. So yeah, Levi Garcia is one to look out for. Nathaniel James and Terry Spicer. You have other players who very good as well. They are like Rio Cardines, Andrew Raymond, who I very much impressed with. But Kevin Molino as well too. Kevin Molino, yeah. I think the key to Tobago reaching to the other stage is gonna be Kevin Molino and how they utilize Kevin Molino, because Kevin Molino, he like about 34. He reality old for football and to be playing in midfield. But in terms of sheer technicality and the IQ for the game, I think Kevin Molino is levels against every midfielder in Tobago. And the reality is he just don't have the legs anymore. But if Kevin Molino could be utilized well, maybe bring him on in certain patches of the game where it is he could manipulate the game, I think that he could go a long way to carrying Tobago to another level. But in terms of the Jamaica team, no. Of course, Leon Bailey. Yeah, amazing player. I love Leon Bailey, but I love Leon Bailey since Leverkusen days, man. I like Leon Bailey. Again, I mentioned Richard King, who is our next Rolls Royce defender, young. So he moved to the Scottish Premier League, so shout out to him. I like this. Well, Damari Gray, the regular Premier League players, but I also liked Cephas, despite he had some questionable performances the past games prior to the Unity Cup, but I always liked Cephas. I think Cephas, yeah, proper winger. But Andre Blake as well too, just the best keeper in the CONCACAF for me. Even better than Keylor Navas in my opinion, right now, currently. But in terms of scope, I hope Keylor Navas can be better, but I think Andre Blake is currently the best keeper in the CONCACAF region.
Yeah, I'm definitely understood, and I'm telling you that as I said, the Jamaican supporters always saying that we should not take any team likely, despite how arrogant we feel sometimes. Now, I want to ask a question. What is the feeling between in the support base about the recruitment for the federation in bringing in players to come and play? Is there a divide between the fan base with local players, international players? That is something that is huge here in the Jamaica space.
I actually was gonna ask you that question there, like how you feel. I know that Jamaicans are really like patriotic, very serious about man from yard, and yeah, it would have the divide with people who would take the local players as opposed to the England players who would transition into Jamaicans. In terms of Trinidad, we basically crying out for players. Like if it is your mother or your father have some Trinidad rules, come over, man. We're begging you, we're begging you right now. But we have this law where they're not accepting, like if it is your grandmother is like a Trinity, they wouldn't take that grandmother, grandfather. They only want like mother, father. So
Oh,
that
fair
what
enough.
kind of separates us from expanding our pool, which is sad because we have so much of players that we could get, but just because they have like grandmother roots, grandparents roots, we just can't get them, and that
Yeah,
just shortens the pool. Yeah, you can say.
yeah, and we benefited from that because grandparents is certainly the way we have gotten a lot of the players, so we have benefited significantly for that.
Mhm.
And regards to that, though, we do face the same. We do face the issue where there's a huge divide between the fan regarding to the international players or the heritage players versus local players, because you have a lot of persons who believe that the heritage players don't give the heart and desire that they want to
So yeah,
see this versus the
yeah. Mm.
local players who they think would give that heart and desire. So that creates a divide. From my perspective, it doesn't matter where the player play. They could be playing locally, in England, in Ukraine, in Spain, doesn't matter where. Once they do have the quality, I have no problem with them playing. Just the same, we have Richard King, as you mentioned earlier. He's playing
Mm.
locally and would have seen every time, even though you still have people in the other side who said that he's not good enough solely because he plays locally. But you would see
Mm.
other persons at the international level said, this kid is ready, and you see make a big move. And if he wasn't good enough, he would make that move. Totally, wouldn't even get in a
Mm.
chance to play even 2, 3, 4, and based off the amount of caps that he has. So there is that divide in our fan base. For me, as I said, they could be playing locally, international. It doesn't matter where. All if it's somewhere in back part of the world or in Iceland, wherever
Mm.
they're playing, and once they have the quality to play, I have no problem at all. Now, should I ask, do you guys what is the expectation for the squad that you guys have coming up? And is there any players that Trinidad are looking at right now where recruitment is concerned to bring in to be a part of the World Cup qualifier squad coming up?
To be honest, we ain't hearing anything about the recruitment of players currently. I think Dwight York said that he's looking at some players, but we haven't heard any names as yet. Um, there was a former player. He was a former player around the 2000 when Trinidad made it to the semifinals at the Gold Cup. Um, that's David Naked. I think he has a son. He plays football. I think they actually looking into him. That is words around the ground. You don't have any official statement that's saying that. But if it is they do intend to shop, we definitely need some centre backs. We need some proper ball playing centre backs, and the whole fan base is crying out for that. Yeah, but I just was I was just like funny about how you guys would take it in particular, because I know Jamaicans, they love the local players, and especially when this guy Warner Brong, was firing. I saw that a lot of Jamaicans love that. But yeah, in Tobago right now we could take anything we could get, boy, because we're still rebuilding, and the football is not where it needs to be. But I wouldn't like count out Tobago because it's a team that could just pretty much like the West Indies. They could give you something. They could get a bad game today after an amazing game the next day. So I wouldn't count them out.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Now we're gonna move into the coaches. Dwight York actually, he was actually one of the candidates for the Jamaica job as well. Steve McLaren got it over him.
Okay.
Yeah, since Duarte came in to the Trinidad setup, what are your thoughts on the work that he has done so far, and what are the changes that you have seen he made in regards to probably playing style or players that adapting to what he wants, and how the team look since he has come in, and the results that you guys are getting? Are you seeing improvement? Can you just explain us on that, touch on that a little bit?
So far, I think that Dwight York has been doing an amazing job. Like from the football that we were playing, from the past coach, and I just hate to be critical about him because I genuinely respect the guy. But Mr. Angus Eve, he pretty much was just playing, Stoke City ball. Just hoof the ball up top, and whoever get the ball, they run past some people. And we had some talented guys at the time that like Ruben Moore, Levi Garcia, them men could just skip past people easily. And what I see now from Mr. Dwight York is that we're seeing some systematic, moving pieces. We're seeing, patterns of play now. Before we never used to have that. So I think Dwight York doing an amazing job, but not only within the on the pitch, on the football pitch. I think that he would have brought a lot of hype back to the Soca Warriors space. As I said before, Soca Warriors football was, or Kaiser says Soca Warriors right now, because right now you have this whole situation where the Soca Warriors or trying to be go to TTFA, they're actually changing the nickname now because
Wow.
of legal matters. Yeah, apparently this guy named Mr. Selwyn Melville in 1998, he said the word Soca Warriors, and now within a series of years, he had different court cases and stuff and pre-action letters, and now he's the rightful owner to the term Soca Warriors. So right now, currently today, the Soca Warriors are looking for a new name, or they trying to be go. Again, it'll be hard for me to transition from not saying Soca Warriors, but yeah.
That's strange because we had an issue like that. We had an issue like that as well, where someone actually owned the name or the rights to the name Reggae Boy. So what they would do, they
Reggae
would
Boyz.
register the name. Yeah, they would register the name and secure the name. And that issue came up, and what they wanted, based off what I heard, was that they wanted the JFF to the federation to
To buy
purchase
for.
the name from them. So maybe that's the
Mhm.
case that happened to Trinidad right now. But when they went to
Yeah,
court,
exactly.
when the federation went to court, what happened is that because they have the name for so long and it's on a large scale, they have been
Mhm.
they have been using the name on such a large scale globally, and the brand and the name
Mhm.
that it comes with, they basically use that to win the case. That, hey, so what were the reason but behind you utilizing the name Reggae Boys? What did you use it for? What was the branding for behind that? So maybe that's something that I think Trinidad can fight it. I think they can try it because they've been using the Soca Wars name for a long time. So maybe something that they can most definitely fight. But that's legal matter, so we'll see what the lawyers will do
Mhm.
about that. All right, so
Yeah,
you're gonna say something? I didn't hear.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe the TTFA need to hire the Jamaican lawyers, because that is pretty much identical to the situation what happened with we. We were
Mm.
featured in a World Cup being Soca Warriors, and I generally don't know why it is he. Well, I think the TTFA offered him $1 million for the name. They actually offered him something, and he still didn't want it. I think probably want royalties for generations to
Oh.
come. But it is what it is. That again, that legal matters and not my business. You know what I'm saying? That is between the TTFA. Yeah.
All right. All right. So where Jamaica is concerned, Steve McLaren came in. He has actually done fairly well. 17 games. He has only lost 4 games in the 17. And as it stands, the Jamaica supporters want him out. Well, you have some of the fan base, like about half of the fan base, want him out. We only losing 4 games. No, one on the back of that, the exit of the Gold Cup is a big reason for that as well. They just
Mhm.
don't believe that, and we're so scared because this is the easiest route into the World Cup, and we're very much scared that we might miss out on this specific opportunity. But what's happened that we can't do because of being scared, we make a rash decision which kind of just throw away the campaign just like that. So as it stands, you have half the fan base is split again. Like regular. One arguing that he should go, and next arguing that he stay. But I guess that's how the Jamaica support base are. We argue over everything. We argue over everything. All right.
No, but that actually crazy though. Like,
Yeah.
like I
Same.
think that Steve McLaren has been doing a good job. Like, despite the Gold Cup, that was just like, that's happened. Even proper teams does get bounced out early. The Brazil team in 2006 get bounced out early. Germany get bounced out early just the other day. Like, them things that happen sometimes. Tactics just
Yeah.
go wrong. Yeah. So I just wanna experiment a lot, and in reality, a lot of teams saw this Gold Cup in particular as a dress rehearsal for the World Cup qualifiers. Like, I don't think I only think like teams like America, Panama, Mexico probably who take that serious. But I think teams like us who still within like the second tier, we saw that as a stepping stone to try and get the right pieces and the right tactics moving forward for the World Cup qualifiers, because you're gonna be a tough 6 games to come to get to that World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. All right. So we're going to touch on the federations. There's politics in everything. So we don't necessarily have to go a bit too deep, but some general observation from your side. What are your thoughts on the TT Federation? How you think they've been handling the more recent things in regards to the football matters surrounding the country, and also from your perspective looking on what are your thoughts on their operations now?
I think the TTFA, they have been improving. I've seen that they're doing more things to try to get back the fans. At that point in time, nobody was going to watch the games for Trinidad and Tobago. We used to have like just one pew of people, but now we're seeing stadiums packed out, and they're doing very good in terms of the marketing. I believe. Of course, it still have a lot of things to sort out with like the players coming in and them stuff. I think that the scouting department needs a like a shake up, for we to get a bigger pool of players, because we can't be relying on the local players so much, I should say. Despite and that the scouting the local players, and local players them have talent, but it's just that they're not exposed to the high level of the football. The game has evolutionized in such a high way. Like it don't have a point where you can just go to the games just with natural talent anymore. It's a lot of
Yeah.
science, a lot of things to learn, and the TTFA in particular, I always was stressing that they need to start prioritizing the youths. The youth program need to be sorted. Now, coming back to the same Greece team that I support, when it comes to like other international games, if it is I ain't seen Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica, most likely I'll be back in Greece. That is my international team. And I see that Greece right now, and look out for Greece within the World Cup. Remember I told you that Greece have 17-year-olds running the team. You have a guy named Karetsas running the team, Constantias running the team, all them youngsters. And that's what Trinidad and Tobago lacks. Now, Nathaniel James, them talented, but they're still within the. I don't know if you guys have OJT in Jamaica. We just call it OJT because it's on the job training. They're still learning on the job. That is Nathaniel James. You have Real Gill, Criminam, who should be associated with because he plays in the JPL.
Maybe.
Them guys, they haven't, yeah, they haven't, take a grasp by the team as yet. They haven't been taken over and being the leaders as yet, nobody. And that is what Tobago need to start prioritizing the youth programs. Then we need to start teaching the game of football, because the TTFA, yes, they got sort out like tournaments. The children are gonna be playing in tournaments, but that just building the experience. They have the experience of playing in tournaments, but it's really teaching them the game. And we don't have a set out system that they could just take a guy from the under 17 level and bring him to the senior team and he would fit in perfectly. We don't have a design system that we can see in Trinidad and Tobago football. We don't have that as yet. So in terms of that, Trinidad and Tobago, they definitely need to start putting more investment into the youth programs.
Yeah, and we're actually in a similar position where the youth programs are concerned. And now, in recent time, what would have seen one of the chairman of the technical committee came out and speak about the application of coaches, or implementation of coaches disperse different age group so that we can have one set balance in regards to
Style of
what we want to do
football.
further. Yeah, so as I said, we can't just pick up player from U4, U15, and U16, and U17, and U18, just plug him to the senior team because everything is so different in regards to what you're doing here. So we're having similar issues. We still don't, where the Jamaican supporters are concerned, we still have a trust issue with the federation because we just believe that more can be done and they can do more. And they're doing basically bare minimum and want maximum maximum should I say output out of it.
From the
So
fans.
yeah man, no, but no, there are definitely, I would say, legitimacy towards what they're saying because we have seen that we believe that they can give us a lot more from what we're getting now. But we can say also we have seen improvements where those things are
Mhm.
concerned, where coaching education, especially on on a island scale matter, their coaching is improving. So there are improvements, but we just believe that more can be done, especially in regards to what you guys said, where the youth are concerned. So we're gonna move on from that. What is, as I said, you mentioned earlier about the support base, that you see the improvement in support base. Tell me how much of improvement that you have seen, and what is the rally around the team like, especially coming up to the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, as I said before, I was lucky to be a part of the 20,000 that was at the Heathrow First Stadium for the World Cup qualifier game against St. Kitts. I never saw that before. Uh, I probably saw it on TV, but I wasn't in the stadium. But as I said, within the past decade, we haven't seen like a full stadium, a full Hazy Crawford stadium. So that was really nice to see. But of course, you're gonna have the people them who just negative for no reason. I just that is them. You can't escape that. In football, there's have people who just trolling, or maybe bitter because somebody for them and get selected and stuff. They just can't avoid that. But in terms of the support, I love any support right now. I think that the guys they're doing the thing. The people
Mhm.
coming out and we seeing within the space, and me being a content creator and the other content creators as well are seeing how much people getting involved, and they actually trusted to get tickets now because they want to see if trying to be able to really make it to that next stage, the World Cup. So yeah, I have a big buzz around it, but I would say like about I would say like about 30% of the fan base believe that we can make it, and we might be delusional. Who knows? But we still want to have that faith and believe that we could make it to the World Cup. But I think maybe 70% think, and that is based off the past recent games, that they just think that in our possibility. But I am a proud member at the 30% club. I want to believe that Trinidad and Tobago, that we could just have that edge, because for some reason I haven't seen this aura surrounding the team in a while. And I don't know if it's because of Dwight York having a legend like him. In my opinion, a Ballon d'Or winner, because in 1999 he was the top scorer in the Premier League, the top scorer in the Champions League, top assister in the Champions League as well too. And I believe that he's supposed to be a Ballon d'Or winner. But in terms of just having him being in the forefront, I think that the fan base has just reached another level.
Yeah. A global, what should I say? A global icon and also a national icon definitely can get the supporters to rally around the team. Now we're gonna go into the last segment here. Based off the four teams in the group, give us your prediction of how the group will end. Give us your optimistic prediction and also your realistic prediction.
Well, for me, optimistic. If it is Trinidad and Tobago could reach on top, I would love Trinidad and Tobago to be the winners, go automatically in, and Jamaica close second. And that just because I'm on a Jamaican page right now, but I actually genuinely like Jamaica. I like Jamaica within every sporting discipline, and I genuinely have been a fan of Jamaica football. I could tell you the players that I actually like, because I have been watching Jamaica, especially with the new recruits them, bringing in the Michael Antonios, the Mari Grays. I had to take a particular close look at them just to see how having Premier League players integrated into a side like Jamaica, who has pretty much been within the mid tier, probably might have been below average kinda, but you know. So it was nice to see that. So I generally believe that Jamaica, they're gonna be our favorites, but I want to back me Trinidad and Tobago. But if it is based off talent, if it is Jamaica Fires, I would see Jamaica on top, and I'll back Trinidad and Tobago to come second and get that the playoff spot, and then Curacao, Bermuda.
Yeah, optimistic. For me, I would say Jamaica the topic. Realistically, I think Jamaica should stop top the group, but I'm very, very afraid of Curacao. very,
Mhm.
very afraid of Curacao. I think that they might cause some problem in the group. Hold on. The first game is you and Curacao, right?
Yep, at
Oh my
Trinidad.
word. Uh,
Yeah.
so that means you should start the campaign from now that you want to have a full stadium to
Mhm.
go out and disrupt. So, and even in the night when Curacao are sleeping, you should be outside beating the drum and
Yeah.
letting out the fireworks.
That
Anything to show
well,
them have the
that
game.
that's supposed to be my job. Myself and the other content creators and anybody within the media space of Trinidad and Tobago, we should be trying my best to rally all the fans them to make sure and be the 13th man, the 12th and the 13th man out there to support the guys them, because again it's gonna be a tough game. Curacao, even though we beat them in Trinidad just the other day, that was when that was actually Nathaniel James' debut. He came on and scored in the dying stage of the game. Um, yeah, we're not. I wouldn't say we blind to Curacao. We know what Curacao have, because some of the players them that was there still there, but they have made a lot of additional players there. So, but yeah, uh, I would want to believe we could edge Curacao, especially at home. I think the home games them in particular, I think we have a good shot with every team, even Jamaica, who I think is far superior in terms of talent. But in terms of the away games, that were afraid because of that artificial ground. I'm really afraid of Curacao and Bermuda, and of course Jamaica, because Jamaica is just Jamaica.
Yeah. And for me, still, I think a big part of it that we have to have is belief. We have to believe that we can do it. And if we don't
Mhm.
have that belief there, well, it doesn't make sense to even start compete. But
Yep.
Skulli, before we go again, can you please tell people where should they find you and all the social media platform? Can you tell them?
Yeah. Again, Scully loves football. Scully with an I at the end. Loves football on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. By the way, on TikTok, I have some like Jamaican friends who actually started. Well, when I started doing football content, they were like within my friend group. I don't know if I could shout them out.
Shout them, yeah, man. Shout them out, man. Shout them out.
Right. So shout out Akeem Allen. By Yeah, Akeem Allen. Well, he name on TikTok is Banter King. Really cool dude. Funny. Shout out Calamity and shout out to King Tattoo. I don't know if you know them guys, but they're actually taking the Jamaica football, well, TikTok space in particular by storm. They're actually like some good content creators. They know the game of football and they have been putting in the work. So shout out to them guys there. But yeah,
All
for
right.
me, just find me on Spoilers Football on all platforms.
All right, blessings. So shout out to the man them. Look at me if I go start go back going at TikTok space. Probably I don't know. Me have to go find a special
Yeah,
time
you
so make
should.
you can link up with them, man.
Mm.
But Scully, really, really appreciate your time, busy time out there, because since me clock in for the work where I do, really enjoy it. And because players like Triminam, these are players that watch week in, week out. So me kinda
Mhm.
want to keep in tune to them. Oh, before one player I want to ask about. Kyle Avery, a player that I really, really like. Can you give us an
Oh,
update on that player? I really like that player, but just give us a small update on him.
to be honest, I don't know what's going on with Overy. He haven't hasn't been featured in any of Dwight York's plan. To be honest, he was a big
Mm.
part in Angus Eve plan, but I don't know. He just fell off the radar, and I don't know if it because of the introduction of Tyrese Spicer. But Overy is still young. I see he has a bright future ahead of him, but lately he decided this focus and keep your head down and just play best set of football. And I believe Dwight York might see him. But for one, noticing with Dwight York in particular, because in my opinion, Andrew Raymond is the best left back we have in Trinidad and Tobago. But because Andrew Raymond is pretty short, he does tend to be cautious in whether or not he playing him. But in terms of talent, Andrew Raymond is our best left back. So I don't know if with Aubrey, if it's a height issue, why it is Dwight York wouldn't prioritize playing him.
Oh, interesting. But a player that I really love watching play. Very, very dangerous. All right, so Skulli, thanks again. Really appreciate you coming on. Massive respect to you and the Trinidad supporters, and wish you all the best coming September. Well, September coming, that means we'll probably doing more content September coming. So this is a this is an introduction to what is coming September. So Skulli, bless up yourself. Man. Thank you very much again for coming in. Really appreciate it. Anyways, people, big up on yourself in the YouTube space. Massive respect. Go and check out Skulli. Skulli loves football. Big up on yourself, people. MG Sports TV. And I gotta say, big up yourself. God bless. Outside.